Hello, everyone. Today we have here with us Mr. Daniel Knight, the founder of Kickboxing, which now is a full-blown MMA equipment company, and also the former sponsor of Andrew Tate. So, of course, if you don't know Andrew Tate, you need some catching up to do. One of the most sensational personalities on the internet these days. So yeah, well, I'll shoot right away, Dan. First of all, how did you hear? When was the first time that you heard of Andrew Tate? You must have heard it on the kickboxing circuits, I'm assuming.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, his name was regularly popping up. I remember, I think my coach's son was talking about him regularly because he just got signed to a contract, called it Showtime. And at the time, it was a very big promotion. So yeah, that's where I sort of heard it in sort of training myself of Andrew Tate.
I think you reached out to Tate, as I've heard in one of your interviews before. You were the one to reach out to Tate foremost, right?
Sorry, what was that story?
I heard in your previous interview you were the one who reached out to Tate, or did he reach out to you? How did it happen?
Uh, it was a little bit mutual there. I mean, at the beginning, because where we had Facebook, I mean, he knew that Psychic was around, and I sort of knew he was fighting. I think I might have been the one reached out to him after he commented on our Facebook page. You see, so it's a little bit mutual. But yeah, I think it was me that
Okay,
actually sort
all
of
right,
ended
all
up.
right, all right. Yeah, yeah. That's how it happens. It's always a bit mutual from both sides. And then, what made you make the decision of sponsoring Tate in particular? Like, was he exceptional, a standout fighter, or just a marketing choice? Why do you pick him?
It was a bit of everything, really. I mean, the fact that he was making a name for himself, that was definitely the biggest reason. And the fact that he had a character as well. So the more I got to know him, the more that I knew that he could be sort of beneficial for the company. He was sort of prepared to sort of do certain things maybe a lot of other fighters wouldn't do. And that's what got Psychic heard, really. So he was definitely the best one at the time to sponsor.
All right. And was he beneficial to the company?
Oh, in all honesty, yes and no, if I'm honest. I mean, when Andrew Tate was a kickboxer, he wasn't as popular as you may think. I liked him. I think a lot of people in the circuit in kickboxing liked him, but sort of people a little bit outside or sort of friends of friends, they sort of yeah, they didn't really. He seemed to rub a lot of people up even then.
All
So, but
right.
it's because people just, yeah, because obviously his controversial views were even going back, way back then. He just seemed to rub people up, But someone like myself, he just, just goes over your head.
Right, right. Uh, and like in general, the sport of kickboxing in general, how big was it in the UK back then?
Yeah, it's very niche. It's not big, and it's the same now.
It's still not big, I guess. Or
Yeah,
is it?
there's just it's big within in its own community, but as a sort of commercialized sport, yeah, I mean, I say it is big, but the fact that it's not on sort of like televised or,
Right.
it's not really, it's not very commercialized like with sports like football or, boxing.
Yeah. So UK also is the founder of a lot of sports. So yeah, got a lot to compete with. Also,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, mm, you were the one who saw Tate fighting in his early days. So like I know he has belts and everything from regional promotions, and also you will probably be one of the best judges of what caliber of opponents he faced during those days. How legitimate and authenticate are those belts? You know.
Oh, they're the best belts you could have probably got as a kickboxer. So yeah, a lot of people are sort of, they've obviously looking at what he achieved back in his career then. They're sort of wondering, they're skeptical whether he was a real champion. But yeah, I could definitely answer the fact that he was a real champion. The ISKA is probably one of the most, prestigious belts in kickboxing. And that was the one he won 3 times, and he won an Infusion World Champion. And then Infusion was a big promotion, and they was looking for the best fighters around the world, sort of handpicking. So yeah, he was fighting the best of the best, that's for sure.
All right. All right. Uh, okay. Let's put it this way. How would he have fared against one of the legends like Adesanya? Let's say Adesanya in his kickboxing days, or Alex Pereira.
Uh,
How do you think a prime Andrew Tate would have fared against them?
yeah, I think he'd hold his own against anyone in his weight division. Yeah, as a light heavy cruiserweight, I think Andrew Tate would be up there against anyone. I just his style, they say styles make fights, and I think Andrew Tate's style was very awkward. There's a lot of Thai boxers that sort of, they claim to be the better style of kickboxing, but when they went up against an Andrew Tate, they sort of, yeah, I think they found they was in the deep end with him.
All right. So you think he could have posed a problem to Izzy or Pereira, anyone in his prime?
Yeah, his coach was on the thing of any fight, any time, any style, and I think they lived to that. Whether he would have won or lost, he would have definitely gave it a good go, and he would have gone up against anyone. Yeah, I truly believe that. So
Okay. Okay. Also, did you know Tristan during those days?
yeah, I sort of knew of Tristan. We sort of messaged a few times on sort of Facebook, but yeah, he'd send me pictures of himself in a psychic t-shirt or something. But yeah, it's not too much then.
All right. All right. Do you have any idea of what kind of a relationship the brothers shared between them?
Yeah,
Any
I mean,
idea?
it was quite, yeah, they was very close. You could see that everything they did, it was even together. But even back then, they sort of still lived together. They trained together. Yeah, they done everything together. It's sort of like,
Tristan was training as well when Andrew was fighting.
yeah, yeah. Tristan's a good kickboxer. Yeah, very good. Um, lot different to Andrew's style. Not as neat, I'd say. I wouldn't want to put him down. It's not as polished as Andrew, but he's still a very good talented fighter. On a British, I think he fought for an international belt, I think. But yeah, he wasn't on that world stage like Andrew.
All right. All right. All right. That's fair. Also, you knew Emory, I guess, pretty close since he wrote a piece for your website back then. So I wanted to know, uh, did Emory see his son blowing up in the future like he did? Because Emory did write a piece about his son, which sounds like pretty propaganda like. So, as in, he was pushing his son, I would say, back then, even back then when he was not as popular. So, did he see his son blowing up?
Oh, I've just lost you at the end there. Sorry.
Like, did he see this coming that Andrew Tate would blow up to be as big as he did?
Well, I think he knew he was going to be a big name. I don't think maybe no one knew to the full extent of how big he's going to be. I mean,
Right, right.
you know, who can sort of claim to be the world's famous man on the planet? Say, that's
Yeah.
going to be a big,
Nobody
that's being
sees that
optimistic.
coming.
Yeah, no one's going to see that coming. But as a sportsman, yeah, I think definitely, and I think he always wanted to push him. That they're a competitive family. Yeah, definitely. They've already done TV work. Like Tristan had been on, was it Shipwrecked? I think in 2011. And Andrew Tate went into Big Brother in 2016. So I think that fame was always going to be there. There was always going to be a name for themselves.
uh,
So,
yeah,
but
I
I
guess
don't think
fame
no
was
one knew.
inevitable. Uh, uh, Getting on to more serious stuff, Dan. So, there have been some serious allegations against Andrew in Romania. So before we get into the allegations, so there's this common conception of misogyny surrounding Tate. So, did you see any such implications early on in his career?
Um, Not misogyny, I wouldn't say. I would say Andrew Tate would just be controversial towards anyone. So it wouldn't be targeted towards women. It would just be, even men, like just anyone. If you saw that video of he done for Sidekick, you're not in the best town in anything. You know what I mean? So he would sort of, yeah, he would have that with anyone. I think a lot of it, I don't think he really believed. It was just videos at the time, just to cause a bit of an uproar. But I think with the misogyny, it's sort of people bit onto that. Oh, you can't say that, and he's a misogynist. But he loves women, and women love him. So it's a lot of it's blown up. Yeah, to sort of slander him a little bit.
So you would say like he's a dividing personality in general, like that, controversial.
What? Well, I think he like an actor. I think, to be honest, he should be in Hollywood. I think what he says on camera, it doesn't mean what he sort of in person, what he was probably saying in person. At the end of the day, if you rein it back, he's literally sets, he used to set up a camera in his own room and start ranting about sort of views, So he's obviously trying to target to someone, isn't he? To create that audience.
Right, right. So I'll get back on this, but first I wanted to ask: do you think there's any truth to the allegations in Romania?
No, I wouldn't say any truth. But I would say it's very, I've said it before, it's a seedy world, with the sex industry and stuff like this is gonna, I think Andrew's sort of quite aware. I think when he was younger, maybe he was a little bit more naive, maybe he thought he was too sort of ahead of himself. And I don't think he maybe saw the consequences of something like this. Um, but yeah, I don't think there's any sort of truth behind it. I mean, obviously, because I sort of messaged him the other day, surely there's either evidence there or there's not. This case should be wrapped up pretty soon, you'd have thought. So, but I do believe there's probably, yeah, yeah, he's got to try and get himself out of it.
Okay, okay.
It's a messy situation, isn't it? Then that's it. That's the problem now.
All right, all right, all right. As coming back to the thing you said previously, you think that Andrew Tate is an actor, should be in Hollywood, right? So I have been
Yeah.
meaning to ask you all along. So it's been quite a few years since you had been sponsoring him in his early days. Do you think he's still the same? All the things that he says nowadays, do you think he's just saying some of it for clout, or most of it for clout, or does he really mean some of it? Like there's been
I
I just want to just a second, Dan. So there's been videos which have emerged of him. He has opened up this hustlers university, right? So he is actually telling advising young men on how to uh, get woo women into pornography and sort of use them to dupe rich men and all that. So do you think, how much of truth in that, how much of it does he mean? What do you think?
Well, I'm glad you brought up that because the same things for clout, and I do think whether he's believed these things he said or not, or that has been another marketing ploy, because that's exactly the same thing he's done for Psychic. He's boasted about having money that I had given him, huge chunks of cash, but I hadn't. So a lot of that, like, I know he does things for clout, so that with the Hustlers University, with the pimp and hose degree, that I can't speak for Andrew, but I know that he has made up stories or things to sort of promote his own businesses, or his partners. So that, yeah, it could have been totally taken out of context, all that sort of how to be a bigger pimp, the pimp and hose degree course. So yeah, I don't think he probably practiced what he preached. Put it that way.
Okay, 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 fair enough. So, when was the last time you interacted with Tate? You told me you had interaction right before his house arrest release, right?
Yeah, we message. It's very brief. I suppose what he messages, he's probably careful what he messages on chats now. But no, I messaged him last week or a few weeks ago. It's before house arrest, before he come out. I sort of said, I might be able to help with sort of to say that a lot of your videos, if it is about messaging and stuff, I did sort of say, I can sort of prove your messages can be taken out of context. It's if that's what it's
Definitely,
about.
definitely.
I did also say the fact that I've had a little bit of a legal sort of situation myself. That be careful trusting your own lawyers. And he was sort of like, "Well, how do you mean?" And I sort of said, basically, the longer this case goes on, he's a wealthy man. I said, the longer this case goes on, the more that they're going to be rinsing the money for yourself. I said, tell your own lawyers to sort of act on it or mix it up, And he sort of came back to me and went, yeah, you're right. And then it was only days later. I don't know if it was because of any of my advice, but days later he's been released off house arrest.
Yeah.
So because let's be honest, if Andrew Tate weren't worth 10 million, 100 million, if he was just a normal guy, with a little bit of money in the bank, would they have dragged this on? Would they have seized cars? But there's a lot of money at stake here, and that's if we ask the question, would this be the same case if Andrew Tate didn't have that fame and wealth? Probably not, and that's where it's sad because other victims, if there has been real rape allegations and trafficking, the police or, the government's probably never look into it as much as this when it could be a legitimate case. So who's to sort of blame in all this? That's what I think.
All right, all right. Then. Okay. How do you think Andrew Tate's story unfolds from here on?
To be honest, I think probably, assuming he can clear his name, I think it'd be the best thing for him, really. He created, I've seen it sort of firsthand myself with my own business, how much it's blown up Psychic as a business. It's phenomenal. The amount of people, the message, watch my videos or go and, look up Psychic boxing as a whole. So I try to imagine how big it's blown Andrew. Well, we know, he's world's famous. He's getting Googled 5 million times a month, I think I was last told. So I think, assuming he clears his name, yeah, I think it's only going to be bigger and better for him, to be honest.
And what do you think? Do you think his name will get cleared of all these allegations in Romania eventually?
Well, I hope so. I hope he's not, a rapist or a human trafficker. That's pretty disgusting, isn't it? But like I say, I wouldn't say that he's done it. These things. It seems very out of character. But like I say, like that's all I could say is just this webcam set. It's a dark world, and these sort of girls could probably come out with these sort of attacks. But yeah, we'll see, won't we? It's like he says that the truth will be revealed, I suppose.
Hopefully so. Okay, that's all from my side, Dan. It was wonderful talking to you.
No,
And hope to catch up again in the future.
oh, definitely. Yeah, thank you.